Hi, everybody. Today, we're going to discuss this high-speed route to proactive safety management. And I'm sure that this is something new. I should say that I've got quite rare opportunity to do whatever you think is right in a huge company. 7 levels of hierarchy. That was interesting and that gave really impressive results. Right after my work in that company, I realized my dream to combine all the knowledge into a large course for safety specialists. Yeah, and now I've trained people from 4 countries. I also had several positions with multi-site companies in cement industry. It was CRH, Lafarge, and Holcim. Records every year in safety performance. This was something normal. This is something that we all should have. And last year, Mitinvest Holding has won this international award of IRSM Risk Excellence Awards 2020, Change Program of the Year. So it was a big pleasure to have this award, and the results were very impressive, really. So plans for today. We will look at traditional models of safety culture. I will also share the strategy to make few steps faster, not to get all the steps one after another and then to stuck on some level. That's a bit different. We'll also discuss some pillars of mature safety culture, and we will discuss the roadmap. So I will start with traditional models, and I will take 2 of them, Bradley curve and Hudson ladder. I like them the most, and I was using it the most. In these models, there are traditional barriers. In Bradley curve, we stop somewhere on the level of independent, and with Hudson model, it's hard to move up to proactive. This is what we see usually. And what are the reasons? With DuPont Bradley curve, I see that there is much stress on achieving 0. So if we look at achieving 0 from the point of view of Hudson model, this is calculative. Let's have a company which is quite good in safety to have several years without accidents, and then somebody fell down and have broken leg. I had conversations with such people. What do they think? First thing, what worries them? They have let down their team. They don't think about the event. They don't think about what's happening. They think that they had several years without accident, and now he was so stupid to let the team down. And everybody will not have their bonuses and so on. So this is something we don't need in the way how we manage safety. This part is just useless for us. So it makes things worse. So this focus on 0 is limiting our possible improvement. If we don't focus on 0, we can get better results than with 0. Another thing about Bradley curve is also focus just on people. We cannot get too much from just people and leadership. Environment and processes can make pressure on people lower. Yeah, this is important. If we come back to Hudson ladder, there are several lines on the basis of which the ladder is stepping up. One of those is increasingly informed. But if we look at the steps to reactive and calculative, usually there is so much pressure on people on these stages that on calculative, people have to pass exams. If they don't, they are kicked off. They cannot learn more. So they are full with information. To make the step forward, we should release pressure from knowing more, making systems more simple, not to make people know more and be attentive 100% of the time. Another part is increasing trust. When we move from pathological to reactive culture, trust is dropping down. Because in pathological, we just leave how it works and nobody cares. And then we put pressure on people. We start to penalize them and punish in case of accidents. They don't like to be punished. Yeah. And with calculative, it's getting worse. Because management is so worried about every accident which happens that this pressure becomes higher. So it's not development of trust. It is that corner. And accountability. It's also not something that is just enough to get to proactiveness. Because at the statistical level, people are feeling their accountability and they try to do whatever they could because they have these targets which they cannot achieve. They use everything, but they just don't know what to do. In the approach which I'm proposing, I wasn't thinking about classification of all the stages in the culture. I was thinking just about the final point. And If you start with the end in mind, there are several pillars. There are some criteria of those companies which are there. First of them is management interest. Because without it, you don't have resources and there's nothing you can do if you don't have it. And there is two sides which are important in this pillar. One of those is influence. And then in the long term, we also need to give back on the credit we have gained. So we need to give results. First thing, to convince, and then to give results over and over again. I will come back to every of these pillars along the presentation. To give just a few words about this management interest, it's not just compliance with the law, which makes it possible to move to these proactive stages. Because this baseline of being like all the companies around is not something that motivates business to do something more. Because you just close these tick box things and then you move to competitive market when you need to be better than others. So we should propose something to give this competitive advantage through safety tools. This is important, not to focus on just compliance, to understand what are the business interests right now, what worries my manager at the moment, and then in line with the business strategy, give something that safety can support with. So I will share this a bit later. We also should be able to allocate resources and to get maximum outcome from resources we have invested. It's not just we take money and nobody cares how we spend it. Or safety is important, that's why we take people for 2 months of training and nobody cares. It doesn't work like this here. If we need to train people and we understand that it's 2 hours, we don't take 1 day. The same about money. To make something with unlimited budget is simple. Anybody can do this. But those companies who are the best, they can spend money in the way to get maximum outcome from that. There are methods of doing that in safety management. Another area, competence. In the company, there should be clear minimum qualification standards. Other way, when another safety manager will come to the plant, he will break everything. Or there will be another plant manager who doesn't know what are we doing, what was the path before. Every new person in the system should be trained in the way how we build the strategy. To continue and to make all the results sustainable and to move further and to continue improvement. Competence of safety team is not just technical, it's behavioral and managerial. This is important. And this is important to be trusted advisors. Procedures should be rather simple. If you have 1,000 pages of systems which are overcomplicated, nobody will even read this all.
100%.
Yeah, so this is combination. Competence is not just making people know everything, but also to create such systems where competence standards are not that high. We are working with human beings which have limitations. And also with the competence. As we are human, we can forget things. We don't remember everything. So we should have access to information, to some resource where we can easily find everything we need. Again, not in thousands of pages. But through the system which gives you this information. And also about the work. Usually there is a system of projects or a risk assessment is somewhere, nobody knows where, with general words, no concrete information. You just want to understand, what do I need at this place of work? And that information should be simple to get. Another pillar is trust and motivation. Without trust, system will not work. People should be feeling free to speak up. If they have concerns, ideas, if they see risks, and so on. Why did I combine trust and motivation? Because when we set a goal which is not achievable, it demotivates people, killing trust. They always get less bonuses because they have this goal. They have 0, which is not really achievable. If we take a company of 50,000 people, 0 is achievable for maybe some period of time. But not forever. There will be somebody who just made the wrong step because we're not perfect. That's clear. Yeah, of course, there's so many things we can do about preventable injuries. That's a lot of things. And we're doing this. It's not an excuse that 0 is not achievable. No way. It is just about making targets really clear and smart. In that way, people get the results, they're happy, they want to get more. So they don't have just 0. They don't know what should they do to have this number of incidents lower. They have clear goals with I should do this, and this, improve that place, install this, and so on. So with clear, achievable goals, people are more involved. People like to do something with safety as this is the way for them to show that they are capable.
Yep.
And safety motivation should be integrated with the whole hierarchy of the company in terms of motivation. Because we all come to work for money. We do something extra. It's not because our dream to stand up in the morning and go to work. The same about safety stuff. Yeah, some things require some efforts. So that should be part of our motivation. But again, it's not because we put safety to undiscussed priorities. Because to make this happen with motivation, we have a link with management interest, with clear goals for business. We can achieve more with safety. So there is a link between this motivation and results which safety brings to business.
Yeah, sure.
And working environment. Why it is important? When the environment is safer, you don't need people to be attentive all the time. If you can walk and you don't have holes near your working area, if you don't have open machinery guarding, when you should be attentive not to get inside that machine, you can release pressure from people. You can release pressure from leaders. It makes everything more simple. Roadmap. I'm starting here with reactive, but I'm not focused just on reactive culture. This is just your starting point, wherever you are, pathological, reactive, calculative, or maybe some level of proactiveness, and you still have issues. Yeah, like you have plateau in results, or you still have high incident rates. So you know that it is possible to get better results, but something is not working. If you have doubts about transparency of reporting, you see that pyramid is not really pyramid. I mean, Heinrich one. There is a recurrence of similar accidents. So you're closing holes, but not making sustainable changes in the system to prevent more effectively. And health and safety function is still perceived as safety police. It seems to me that the worse is starting point, the easier is to go further. When people are living in this pathological culture, when they understand that just one wrong step and I'm dead, they don't feel happy. They feel that something is wrong. They don't like to see that somebody was hurt in the same working place. And when they hear some healthy ideas, when they hear some good things about changing their working environment, and they see that these changes are real, it's not somebody talking that life will be better. They see that life is getting better, really. They switch to the right side really fast. I think that 1 year from really, really bad point with 100 people and fatal accident every 2 years. And then companies switching to the same levels as other companies in Europe with really good results. And people are happy, they're so energized. So you don't need much time to change. But if you start with this step with reactiveness, punishing people for everything, and you try to make them learn all these imperfect systems to try to make it work while it will not, that stops the development. Next stage, initiation. So this is a step where management understand that they are not doing things in the best way possible. They understand that there are opportunities with safety. They understand wider the possibilities. They have awareness about required changes. So this is an important thing. And here we have long-term strategy. From this point, company is already different, because when you get to managers and to their understanding of what is right and wrong, they already behave differently. And this is the most important thing. It's not about what they write. It's about how they speak and how they feel about safety. That's getting different. And about value, they just understand business opportunities from safety and that their tools were not as good as they thought they were. Then reliability. We move on with competencies. We move on with basic tools to manage risks, and we start with high risks. Safety becomes a source of positive news. After this flow of negative information about safety, with nothing good about this, we start to get good things. Making it work with high risks, with good focus, and with competencies achieved, it is not that difficult, I should say. And the last one is industry leader. After reliability, we get to the point where systems are already working well. So next stages for us is just continuous improvement. But at this stage, when you have basic systems working, so when you have planning working well, when you track changes with these actions which are planned, when people are motivated to close these actions, this continuous improvement, it becomes really simple process. So then with everything set up on reliability stage, you just have several years of improvement where you using the resources available for you to get these steps forward. Some actions will be strategical that will take longer time to implement. Yeah, so you start with high risks and then you move on the hierarchy of risk controls with more difficult actions. So this is just steps forward, and every year makes you closer to leaders and makes you leader finally. Management interest. I've shown here some examples of what can we use to make them interested. So it's not just preventing injuries and ill health. It's not just compliance with the law, because this is a baseline. We are looking for not having accidents which stop the work of the plant. We are looking for less losses financial. We are looking for lower staff turnover and attraction of best candidates. We are looking for higher production performance. It's possible with our tools. For safety, it's important to plan well, not to extinguish fires. The same for production.
Yeah.
And we have those tools. And reputation for investors. That was one of the major things why I was called for different companies. It's not about just to have some certificate. It is actual performance comparing to other companies on the market. If they see that you have more fatalities than other companies in the same industry, they have doubts. It's important to understand what is the interest of managers and business and build upon them. What is now the strategy of the company? What is in the business plan for the company? And to help achieving this plan with our tools. Another thing, strategy works better than just acting on the spot. It gives us the full picture. We can understand where we can invest with higher outcomes. And also with strategy, you can really close systematic failures. You can make the system work instead of just, okay, let's fix it right now because tomorrow we have another fire. So strategy gives you opportunity just to give a few steps forward. You just close it and you don't come back to it again. And also you need less resources because when you're extinguishing fires time after time, it takes time and efforts and resources while it appears again and again.
Yeah.
What is also important at this stage is involving the whole organization through motivation. So as we found these topics which are interesting for owners and management, we should involve all the team inside the safety initiatives. It's like in boxing, there is a trainer and there is a boxer. Trainer could be really good in everything, but if we don't make it with the guy who is boxing, it doesn't work. And we have people who are working. It's them who manage risks. If they don't know how to manage, if they think that safety manager is responsible for their safety, this is no place to get results. About keeping management interested. So we should have always this positive news. People are involved in safety initiatives more if they understand that there are high chances of being successful. If they know that zero is not achievable, they will not be in that team because they will not achieve, and it's not really good for their reputation. But to make these positive changes and results happening, there are things that safety team should have. And these are about understanding existing trends, understanding the whole picture, understanding the profile of risks, and having good monitoring system. This is so often when I see that in performance monitoring, company has just incident rates. This doesn't give you enough information to understand trends. If there is a smaller company, they have just zero, they live with that zero. They don't understand, is it coming better from day to day? What should they focus on? They just live and hope that nothing will happen. This is not management. So we should be good with setting up a monitoring system. This is critical skill for safety team. We also need to prioritize projects. So to have this higher return on investments. With this, we should understand higher risks and start with them. We should understand bottlenecks in the system and start with that bottlenecks and not to get into perfection. Just perfection doesn't give us results. Fast results with the small efforts, and then you look again on the whole picture. And again, you repeat the same. When I see that there is some risk management system in the company, it's not perfect, and I'd like to change it. But I also see that they just have absolutely nothing with planning and tracking of changes in the improvement actions. I understand that it's not the time to change risk management, risk assessment methods, and these things. Yeah, I understand that there is another bottleneck which will bring more results. And another point is project management. And this is a blind spot for many, really blind spot. It's not part of usual training materials. Yeah, it's process-based project management. To understand that it's important to spread the project into phases, that it's important to involve people. That's important to give motivation to those people to be involved. That gives so much better chances for the project to be really sustainable. Because if you know how to manage, if you involve people and they give you information about how this process should work to feed their system, if they take part in that working groups in the beginning, then implementation goes much faster. And then they start using it and not put it into the shelf and just sign off the paper. This is important. And I've seen these examples, like when companies just make the procedure, sign it, send it, you have 2 months. This is just not project management. This is complete failure. Chances of this system to work are so low. Then next pillar is competence. And here I also build it on the basis of what is a system which I would like to have as a global head of large company. Just what do I need? Not based on something that other companies or other countries have already done. So I did that like a perfect model for me to feel relaxed with all the team working and knowing what to do, not calling me every time to ask for support or taking part in some investigations. So this is the model. We start with some baseline for management. So everybody in the company or every manager in the company should have some skills in risk management. They should understand what is leadership, something from incident investigations. If we involve people to conduct trainings, if that person have no clue what is effective training, they will just read this document or ask to sign it, and that's all. These soft skills, this is something that I always feel good feedback from production people and from CEOs of the companies. They understand that development of these communication skills of their team is not just for safety. This is good for production. When they share information, when they understand what's going wrong, when people can openly share what's wrong, and when manager can explain things easier, that works well. They are really open to develop those skills. And then professional qualification. So I've defined that there should be 3 stages which are reasonable. Specialists, this is NIBOSH IGC. Then managerial positions. When you have some department to manage or you have a company which is not that big. This is diploma level. You should have more understanding about processes. With IGC, there is good understanding of what is risk assessment and what is investigation process and how to put that together, and also some like understanding how other processes work. But to organize implementation of these processes and interconnection of these processes, there are some doubts. So there should be a bit more to guarantee that this person is able to organize this process. And director level, the difference is about understanding of planning, about making roadmaps and maybe longer terms of planning. So this is important because if you have a strategical position, you shouldn't try things. Because when you give advices, you should understand what will happen in these 2 years. You're responsible for more resources and for more people. So these people shouldn't waste time. This is important because in safety, we have this sense of urgency and we cannot try things without knowing for sure that will it work or no. Then trust and motivation. I like this slide from Adam Grant, psychological safety. What happens when you have it and when you don't? So when you don't, people see mistakes as threats to their career. They don't want to rock the boat because they will fall out. They keep their ideas to themselves. They are telling people only about their strengths. They are afraid of their teammates or supervisors, and they keep the head down. So this is the system where there is no trust, or when people don't feel safe. And when you have it, people start looking at mistakes as opportunities to learn, and they see value in this learning, and they see that managers see this learning as something that is important, and they see results of this learning afterwards. Then they are willing to take risks, and they realize that something will not work. That is also something normal. Yeah, we try things, and okay, this didn't work, we'll try something else. Then they are ready to speak up during meetings. They can say that something is not working instead of ticking the boxes of systems which doesn't work. They are sharing that they are struggling, that something is wrong, that they are afraid of things. They trust teammates and supervisors, so they have this open communication. They are ready to stick their neck out. What does it mean for health and safety? If people openly share information, so we have the risk profile, we understand where to put our efforts to prevent accidents. So when personnel is sharing ideas, we have the whole organization involved into risk management and not just safety function. So nobody is waiting until safety specialists will come and tell what is wrong. They do that by themselves. When system doesn't work, people speak up. They tell us where are the weaknesses without getting to this normal work where there are systematic breaches, but nobody cares. We don't get to that point. People tell what's not working. They are not silent and thinking that, okay, if I say that that the safety procedure is shitty, that they will kick me out. No, when people think that this safety procedure is shitty, maybe it's right, and we should review it and make it work better. That is normal. And then when there is open communication between managers and workers, what does it mean? That manager understands risks and he can manage it, instead of not knowing what are the struggles of their people. And when we make people involved in creation of new processes, when they are ready to share their thoughts, not being silent, implementation goes so smooth. It's really fast, and then systems are sustainable. Having no trust makes no chances to have good results. You will stand in that point of reactiveness with just safety function running over everywhere and trying to pull everything on their shoulders. That's not working. Then working environment and processes. If you don't need to be too attentive in the place where you work, pressure is released. And the manager should not be this perfect leader making all the team working perfectly and attentively in an unsafe environment. Also, with that, it is much easier to create the culture where people are following rules. And another thing which I like in the last years, this is the concept of choice architecture or design of choices, where we create such environment where person is just going with the flow. He has risk assessment with clear information about what exactly he should do. And then he have that equipment that he needs. Then he comes to the place of work, and there is a place where he can anchor his harness and to do the work. So it goes smoothly. He does everything that is required. But what I often see, that there is no information. There is no proper training. Person doesn't know why he needs this double lanyard or single. Why is that shock absorber? What is inertia reel? Why do they need them? And even if they understand, they come to the place where they store them, and there is nothing except just this single lanyard with just belt. He takes it because there's nothing else he can take. They should overcome barriers. While it is possible to organize their work in the way that it is simple to do, then there is no stress on culture. Everybody coming to the system, he comes to the training where he has practical exercises on every step of his job. He understands the system is simple, and he just do the work, tick the box, do the work, tick the box, everything is there. He comes and everybody do the same. I would say that it's not just culture. It's not.
You're 100% right, Dimitri, and I've got quite a lot. I'm very interested in that. The culture which I tend to look at is the traditions of an organization, and that would include also their safe systems of work. But where you say the environment, that there to me, I relate to the safety climate, what's actually happening there. And that's really interesting for me. So sorry to interrupt, but that's really one thing I'm focusing on a lot at the moment.
Maybe I'm speaking about safety standards here, yeah, more than just environment.
Yeah, for sure,
but
for sure.
It is also environments. People get there, they have the processes, they have systems, they have standards, they have equipment. They came into environment, typical roadmap. That was so many times I've heard that safety culture needs years and years, many years to be to be changed. Yeah, I understand that they were doing what they could. They were struggling to trying to change mindset and the way how leaders behave, but it wasn't working. And they had to explain somehow that they're not there. But as to me, culture is changing fast or doesn't change. And moreover, if you get people into these trust risks, it takes more time to get them out. But still, it's not that much. The most important thing is to do and not just tell. I prefer even not telling, but doing. Get into the process, change the motivational system, take out the balance into negative and to push it into positive reinforcement and so on. People just see that changes are happening and they don't need to listen it. They don't need to read it in some corporate news that, okay, that's new era of our trust culture. This doesn't work. What they feel and what they see in what is happening, that makes things absolutely different. How management reacts on accidents and on investigations, and people start thinking about this human nature of all of us and not asking people to be perfect, which doesn't really work. And when they have these targets which are achievable and they have celebrations of success all the time about safety, they have good news that we have better results here, better results here, this place is better, this place is better, this system has changed, and they see this flow of good information about safety. So these stages. First one is quite short with initiation. Yeah, we need to make the audit. We need to understand how the system works. We need to have some coaching with top management, which doesn't really take long. And we need to prepare a roadmap and approve it. Maybe if you need to prepare a roadmap based on improvisation, that could take some time. But actually, it's not, if there are tools. Then stage of reliability. We need to train safety team. So the training, which I mentioned before, it is just 2 months. That takes a lot of time and efforts. They continue working, but they are really filled with work on the training. But that is 2 months, and they have this set of tools. Then we need to train key managers. We need to prepare the group of trainers to be able to train the whole population of supervisors and the team. Then review monitoring system to understand trends and to show good results where we are moving further. Then a review of motivation systems to remove things about trust risks, first of all, because it's a motivation system where we have all these things like target on numbers, where we have punishment for accidents and not behavior and things like that. And that's so many things like this. I've seen that. We know that there are many things in motivation system. And also to make these achievable actions, these things that moves us further in improvement, part of motivation system. And it shouldn't be less than 15% of the whole thing. You know, bonus system, how it works within the company. And it's also important to have motivation system, not just for top management or some certain levels, but for everybody, including workforce. Everybody should be there. And basic risk management tools. With that, this first year brings good improvement of results. It is really visible what is changing from that point. In some companies, results were 10 times or more, even including the fact that that was this underreporting, which can be usual in these pathological cultures. But even then, you have this step forward with lower number of incidents and lower rates of severity and so on. And after that, this is just year after year, you are getting better and better and better. So this is how I see it. And I'm really glad to share this presentation with other colleagues. I think that that could be beneficial. So
Yeah,
now
absolutely.
I'm getting to the point of answering questions.
I don't really have any questions at the moment. Everything that you've got here is for sure. It's right on the path, 100%. Some of it is new to me, but most of it is exactly as I've been learning over the last numerous years. And these are definitely the foundations. And I like your 4 pillars. They're key, and they're key to focus on those 4 pillars, which you said quite rightly are key to the success. And I think I probably feel the same as you, where we need to have the management buy-in and the trust and motivation as 2 of the main pillars. Of course, that they're all needed, but the management engagement and the trust and motivation is very important. Everything there, I like. There's definitely that's the way to go for sure. There's a lot there which I know works through my own experiences, and for you to develop that is brilliant. Yeah, that will work. And as you said, that sort of theory and the way that you've used that in the past is evident through the statistics that you shared. So yeah, that's really, really good. Very interesting, and that will work.
So thank you, Stuart. Glad to hear that. Yeah, really proud of making this work.
Yeah.
And this, I'm sure that this is also just the beginning, because I'm having more and more experience with using these tools for other companies. And
and it is, yeah. I know you've got a lot to do, and I'd be really, really interested in continuing the conversation, during the course of the next period. A lot of this is really good, and ways to implement this, which I'm sure you've got the success of doing, as well as very interesting. And that's looking at the leadership values as well as the different processes that we have, and how to implement that, and how to get the management buy-in and the workforce to buy into that as well, for them to feel empowered and motivated to do it. There's a lot of different ways that we can do that, and that's really good. This is excellent, Dimitri, excellent work. I'm really glad that I have joined today and to listen to this.
Yeah, I'm also glad that you are here, but that's not so many people joined today. So that, while I think that this information is good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I think that we can close that webinar today. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you very much. That's been really interesting, and you're definitely onto something there. You've definitely got the foundations, 100%. Brilliant.
So thanks a lot, Stuart.
No, you're welcome. Thank you.
Good. Yeah. Bye bye.
Bye bye.